Something that's really interesting from your experience is that acquisition with Visa and that whole tech stack migration that had to happen. You talked about like the security and the legal conversations you had and the evaluation of customer data and privacy policies and all that stuff. Now you're at Visa, and I'm guessing here we kind of talked about this before we press record, but you're using a lot more legacy solutions. You are potentially less likely to be able to just like find a cool new startup that just launched an AI tool and you can just like buy it tomorrow and just start using it. There's a process to things, and most of the time you're using legacy platforms, big enterprise stuff. Talk to us about that change of pace and how that's kind of impacted your work and how you were able to still stay happy in that role because you hung around and you're still at Visa.
Right. Yes, that's true. I think the larger companies tend to, again, gravitate towards more legacy solutions that are able to provide, more security, more reliability, and things like that. And there are certain security requirements that vendors have to meet when where young vendors just unable to satisfy those things. And that's normal. So I think transition, I think it was interesting because I I went on a journey on the curve from like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We won't be able to do any demand, like Jen, it's all dead, right? Towards towards understanding how much, first of all, those legacy tools are not bad. They're legacy. They're probably not as loud and they probably, don't do a lot of cool, funky stuff. But they genuinely have a lot of the core functionality that you need. And also, I've realized that we had so many tools, but we haven't really used those tools to the 100% of their capacity. We would get a tool
Hmm.
upon a tool upon a tool and use like maybe, 50, 40, 80% of each tool. When you're so tooled up, it's so hard to really like, you know, to juice it out of those tools to the degree that we thought we are. So with not having a lot of choices, we've learned that, oh, well, actually, everything that we were doing before, we still can do. It's not a huge big deal, and as it turned out, we weren't doing like crazy impressive stuff. Just tracking the basics and making sure it's all connected and stuff. Yeah, we lost some of the ability, I think, to collect data or store data or certain things, Um, but to my surprise, it didn't hinder our ability to deliver results, which means, again, I think, that race to arm yourselves with more tools potentially could be a hype
Oh yeah.
sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's marketers like are very like keeping up with the Joneses, like envious of their like colleagues and competitors. They say like, "Oh, they're using all this like intent data, multi-touch attribution, real-time customization stuff."
Yeah.
But then
Martech
like,
FOMO.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
FOMO. But like barely anyone's actually really using it effectively, and it just like to your point, it takes away from things that usually really work to begin with. So yeah, good one, good one.